us have heard about this study, and if you haven't, it was published in September Journal Science. It's getting a lot of comments. The U.S. and Canada apparently have lost 3 billion birds since 1970, and scientists say nature is unraveling. So just your perspective as a birding expert, just on that statement, what do you think, Richard?
That's an alarmist statement, and it should be. It's like 3 billion birds. That's a lot of anything.
Right.
And it is something to be concerned about. The study was somewhat widespread. It's now getting a lot of views online and things. People are very interested in it. And we want to talk a little bit about the study and what does it mean to us.
Yeah, and what can we do, right? So we're going to go through some of that. So I'm going to read a little bit about this. So the author of the study, Pete Mara, watched birds growing up in the woods, and then he noticed that he wasn't seeing nearly as many. He analyzed 5 decades of population on 529 North American birds. And since 1970, North America, the U.S. and Canada have lost 1/4 of its bird population. And that's fallen by 3 billion, with grassland birds like meadowlarks and American sparrows and the shorebirds such as green herons taking the biggest hit. Now, why would you say that those particular birds are taking such a hit?
Well, you look at where they live and what's going on in that particular environment. Coastal birds, as an example, we mentioned the bright spots. That's a different story. But in the farmlands, in the grasslands, this is where that sparrow is at, and where a lot of the meadowlarks are at, and a lot of other bird species in that are having more trouble because of the things that are affecting these birds are more prevalent in those areas. And we're going to get into exactly what some of the real problems are in a few minutes, I think, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And so, explaining the decline, they say researchers concluded, of course, that humans are driving that decline. Clearing of land, widespread pesticide use, allowing domestic cats to roam outdoors are some of the biggest problems. And cats are estimated to kill more than 1 billion birds each year in the U.S. So that seems crazy, right?
We're going to do some math on that in a few minutes, too. That particular one, it's like, wow, cats, and everybody loves their cats. I love cats. But there can be a problem if if it's not done right.
Yeah, so there must be more outside. And habitat loss is huge. Like you mentioned, clearing of forests, grasslands, erecting buildings, roads, more farms. And the use of, how do you pronounce that? Insecticides?
Let's just say pesticides.
Yeah.
Insecticides.
Yeah. And you brought up a good point. It's not the insecticide itself that's killing the birds. But
at this point, yeah. Back before pre-1970, we were having a big problem, and because there was pesticides in use that have been, DDT was the main culprit, in use widespread in all the farmlands and a lot of other applications, and that was getting into the environment, and the birds were having problems, especially larger birds, especially eagles and things, because the eggshells that they were laying weren't thick enough anymore to support the chick. So the eggs would crack, and so they weren't able to reproduce. DDT got banned. A lot of things got put into place, along with other environmental efforts were issued to help some of these problems. And a lot of these birds now have rebounded and are doing quite well. So we had a problem. We solved it. Everybody worked together to solve it. But now there's new classes of pesticides out to replace it. And they're actually more bird and wildlife friendly directly. However, there's a backside to that. They're also very effective at doing what they're supposed to do, which is kill the insects. So we get out to the grasslands, you have 2 things going on. One, other than loss of habitat, where there is a habitat and the pesticides are out there, they aren't affecting the birds as much. They still are a little. However, they're killing the insects. That just gets rid of the birds' food supply.
yeah.
Because most birds are mostly insect eaters. They eat berries and other things, but they do eat insects. That's where they get a lot of their food. So if you get rid of all the insects, the birds no longer have anything to eat.
Yeah, it's like the insects bug us, so we want to kill them all. without thought to, we're killing these beautiful
Yes.
birds. You get rid of and you and I talked about, it seems like, yes, whereas in the 1970s, there was a lot of commercial use of these pesticides and things, but now
And that's
it's
when
like
you brought up
everyone.
an excellent point. And a lot of these things we don't all think about all the time. It's like, okay, well, that's their problem or they're doing it. But all of a sudden, with the advent of the do-it-yourself at home type stores everywhere, and we're all wanting a nice yard, we all have total access to tons of pesticides. That wasn't, when I was growing up, I like the story about, oh, we had all these birds and then they built this and built that, and by the time I was in high school, the birds were gone. I lived through that.
Yeah.
And, but now we didn't have in our yard, it wasn't beautifully manicured and everything. We didn't put things on it. Maybe a little fertilizer occasionally, that was it. But now there's so many different chemicals, so many different pesticides for inside the house, outside the house. Blow it into the air because you want a picnic.
Well,
It's
and
out there.
and my parents, I would have to say, growing up, I never thought about it till now, but only if there was a problem with a certain insect did we go to the store and like buy like wasp spray.
Yeah.
But we did not monthly pay a service to come out like I do now to, treat for insects. I mean, that is just the widespread use of that is phenomenal compared to the 70s.
And all of that is not a huge problem, but everything adds up.
Right.
And we just have to be much more conscious of what we're doing and don't put pesticides out if you don't really need to.
Right.
And make sure you kind of know about which pesticides people are using in your yard and just be a little cautious about it. Hello, this is Richard Cole. I want to thank each of you for watching, and I want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to share it.